Oh, hello, it's Susie again from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're all well. I hope you're living a life according to the way you want to live it. I hope you're kind to yourself, particularly the most important person, to family and friends, to your animals, and to just people generally in the world. And I promise you, I won't use the word dickhead anymore. I'm getting too much flack from people read that, so I absolutely promise you. I just thought I'd, as usual, I have a second thought about things, because I do read what my subscribers say, and I listen to them, and I give, and I'm not in concrete, so I always have a think about what people say to me, particularly through YouTube, and just to try to make my business better and try to help people more than I can. So I thought I'd just give you a very short review on Ambrosus, which I did some time ago, and it was just a very basic review. So here's the very basic review. And, I did like it, and I did pick some up, in secondary market, not in the primary market, because I thought the primary market, there was a bit of overhang, and I was right about that. And, it did come down, but I do think it is a good story. It's not, obviously it's not, investment advice. As I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know your financial position, your risk preferences, your risk tolerances, cash needs, or financial position. And I'm not an investment advisor, and I don't know your age or financial position or anything. So this is all educational purposes only. So, but for me, for my own money, I did particularly like Ambrosus. I think it's a really interesting project, what they're trying to do, and I think it's really needed. And also, we have it in our investment portfolio, and it's a coin of diversity. It's diverse, and I think it's a real project we've made on it. So I'll just you'll see that when I looked at this one, it was just done very basically, but it was enough for me, for my own personal money, to invest in it. Thank you.
Oh, hello. I'd just like to talk about Ambrosus. Ambrosus was an ICO which has already come to the market. It's actually now listed on the exchange, on the Alpha Delta at 21 cents, and the futures market on HIT BTC at 33. The tokens are just about to be delivered. But when this got issued, the ICO, the tokens were around 30.5 cents US. So they're basically 1,000 AMB to 1 Ethereum, which depends where Ethereum was. But I've had a look at this ICO, just the white paper, and basically a lot of other stuff in terms of their business and the prospectuses and that sort of thing. And I really do like this particular company, and I like what they're doing, and I like the blockchain they're actually using for what they're actually doing in terms of food technology, basically tagging food, the integrity of food, literally from farm to plate. It's very, very big here in Australia. A lot of consumers want to know exactly what's in food, where it comes from, who actually produced it, the integrity of that food, if you want to call it that, and essentially, whether it's been sprayed with pesticides, or whether it's organic, or whether it's actually genuine food, or genuine, exactly what it says on the on the packaging. Certainly in China, food integrity is huge. The Chinese middle class of 500 million out of a population of 1.8 billion, 1.9 billion. And essentially they're buying a lot of Australian product and New Zealand product, particularly in eggs, in farm produce, being milk for one, being yogurt, anything to do with, eggs, food, honey, you name it, they're buying it, walnuts, because the food corruption in China is so huge. It's caused literally millions of deaths and millions of people getting ill and sick and having terrible illnesses. So I don't know whether you're aware there was a huge melamine scare in China in 2008, where hundreds of thousands of babies were killed because the dry milk was tainted with cyanide and paint. And more than over 3 million babies had side effects of that. And so ever since that time, the Chinese would come into Australia and been buying milk product dry milk product particularly. They've been buying A2 milk, they've been buying bub milk, you name it, and literally taking it off the shelves, and domestic mothers can't even get dry milk. So it is a huge industry. Now, I have read analysis from other people who do ICO analysis, and they're actually quite negative Ambrosus. Again, I have the complete opposite view. In my view, food integrity is really, really important. It's huge in Asia, and it's certainly, from what we've seen in Australia, absolutely huge. The reason why I like Ambrosus so much, I prefer to buy it on the secondary market because I think you can get it cheaper, and at the moment it's trading at 21 cents on Alpha Delta and on HIT BTC at 33. I don't know why the two different markets is different, because you can literally arbitrage. You could buy Alpha Delta at 21 and sell it HIT BTC at 33. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's what it is. The reason why I like this ICO so much is they are trying to solve a real problem in the world, a real global problem and an issue. Food integrity and pharmaceutical integrity is just so very important. They can use blockchain to actually come up with a solution. The Ethereum blockchain, which is what they're using, it is unique in what they're doing to tackle the problem, because they realise that you've got to literally create a supply chain from the ground to the plate, if you want to call it that. So literally from where it's grown, say if it's rice, to literally when it gets onto your plate. And they've certainly got an incredible team to back it up and to actually do something about this. So, I really like this. This is just a summary here, but we'll just quickly go through the slides. I like to keep this under 10 minutes, but you can certainly read all this information. I guess at a high level, Ambrosus is the first company to tell the complete story of food pharmaceuticals as they go from literally the farm to the fork. And they're basically using supply chain logistics and using Ethereum technology to build above and over Ethereum technology to actually literally tag and source the food as it goes through the supply chain to when it actually gets on your plate. And I think this is quite an amazing idea, and I think it's very doable. There are a hell of a lot of studies about, food poisoning, people being killed by food, food corruption in China and the like, and it's just a massive, massive problem. And we're certainly seeing in Australia, we've certainly seen it in our stock market where all the food stocks are being bought and taken over, but we're seeing it in terms of our land. Now, a couple of analysts said that this wasn't a huge problem. Well, I completely disagree with them, absolutely disagree with them, because we're actually seeing it in the domestic market. Mothers can't even source dry milk here. It's just so severe because the Chinese are buying everything. And apparently, an A2 thing of dry milk literally sells in China for something like, $180 where you can actually buy it off the shelf in Australia for $24. So I disagree with the analysts out there that have actually said that this is not an important issue, because it is. So just quickly going through, there is a lot of information. I don't really want to cover a lot of it because you do have it in the slides here, but I guess that the main things I want to basically talk about is they've got incredible technology. They are using Ethereum, but they're building an architecture technology above Ethereum to basically tag the food and monitor the food, and basically, weigh it and make sure that the integrity of the food it's accurate, and that what we are getting on our plate is actually what we think we're getting on our plate. That's very simply what they're trying to do, and they're doing it with smart contracts. The team they've got is quite amazing. The team, have got incredible business networks. The head, the CEO, was basically used to work at the World Bank. They've got guys in PhD that have got food science and food technology behind them. They've got an incredible team who have got incredible business contacts as well. So I'll just see if I can show you the team here. What are their names? Here we go. Going back. Their team is very, very strong indeed, and they certainly know what they're doing. They've got incredible advisors as well to actually make this happen. And really, I think given the team and given their business connections, they can certainly do it. They've actually got business that have approached them, 50 or 60 businesses that have approached them for this technology. So their CEO used to work for the United Nations and World Resources Forum. There's another guy who's a PhD in food science. They've got incredible advisors and everything else, so I don't have any problem with the team. Basically, they want to ensure that the integrity of the food, that you can trace the raw materials, literally that you know exactly what's going on with the food or the pharmaceutical product. And essentially, literally, as I said, from farm to plate. When they look at the food and the integrity of the food, they're looking at things like, temperature, weighing it, the accuracy of it, the materials, the product, how has it been, for example, sampled, or how has it been stored, measurement, authenticity, transparency, whether it's, being refrigerated properly. If it's baby product, then there's going to be even more strict, things that they need to look at. As I've said, the products might differ between consumption, babies, animals, that sort of thing. And basically they're building systems to tag, trace and censor the food, and also to identify, the temperature and the composition of the food and that sort of thing. So that, I think this is something that's really going to sell. From the company's point of view, I think it's needed. I think it's absolutely in demand, and I think these guys have got the right idea compared to their competitors who, are piecemeal what they're doing, and it's not blockchain where basically, the system can be changed and tampered with. Ambrosus has got a system where you can't actually tamper with it. Again, I've said, look, I think it's a goer. I think this would probably go in our model portfolio and would be a happy holder of this for probably, 4 to 5 years. I think there's a great demand for this, particularly in even pharmaceutical products as well, which is something else they're focusing on. So the only negative I can see with this ICO that just happened is there is 100 million tokens, so there will be an oversupply or an overhang because they've only done 30 million. But I think, once that's gone, this should be a fairly good investment. Thank you. I hope this helps.
And again, this is a disclaimer. I don't take on any contingent liabilities or everything's educational. It's not financial advice in any sorts of, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm really tired today. Didn't sleep well. But obviously cryptocurrency, if you're buying, it's always a risk. You don't know what's going to happen with the market and when it's going to come back. So I hope you get something out of this educational presentation. Thank you.